The Islamic Center of Tennessee presents
about Salat al-Jum'ah. And what do you know about Jum'ah? And how great Jum'ah is? Did you know that Adam alayhi salam, our father, was created on Jum'ah? Did you know that that was the day Allah accepted his repentance? Did you know that was the same day that he was allowed entry into paradise? It was the same day he was removed from paradise and sent down to earth. It is the day in which the hour will be established. There's so many things that happen on Jum'ah that we're unaware of. We just go to work and go home as if it's a normal day. And the lucky one, if we can use that term lucky, is the one who is able to leave work for an hour or 30 minutes or 45 minutes to come and attend Jum'ah. And if you only knew how much good was in that Friday prayer and in that Friday day. It is a day in which the Prophet ﷺ said that the best day in which the sun rises is on the day of Jum'ah. And then he mentions those things that I've mentioned. He says, because on that day, that's the day Adam was created, the day he was allowed entry to paradise, the day he was taken out of it, the day that his repentance was accepted, and the day that he died. And it's the day that the hour will be established. And there is no creature on this earth except that it knows that the hour will be established on this day. So they're all afraid, except the son of Adam. He's always doing things like that, the son of Adam. Always making mistakes, always being heedless, and thinking that he has days and much time to repent and much time to pursue. But he doesn't know his time is limited, his heartbeats are limited, and once they go down and that counter runs out, there is no more time after that. What are some of the things or some of the blessings or rewards that a person will have for the day of Jum'ah? Can anyone tell me? What's something that is beneficial or exclusive to the day of Jum'ah? Who can tell me one? Go ahead, Josh. Very good. This is a lost sunnah. Do you guys know that? It's a lost sunnah, meaning that it's almost nobody does it anymore. And that is when they go out early to the prayer. So he says, whoever goes out to the prayer in the first hour for Jum'ah, correct? Meaning really, really early on, then it is as if he has sacrificed a camel for the sake of Allah. Do you have money for a camel? You can't afford one? I can't afford one either, it's okay. But if one of us wanted the reward of sacrificing a camel for the sake of Allah, just go to Jum'ah early. Then if you go out in the second hour, it is as if you have sacrificed a cow. What about if you go out into the third hour? A goat or a sheep. And in the fourth hour, a chicken. In the fifth hour, a bayla, an egg. So, why is that lost? You know what's the funny thing? I drive here on Jum'ah, by the way. And when I come, I try to come as late as I can because I'm going to be the last one to enter for Jum'ah. Supposed to be. But I find that once 12:55 hits, that's when the most cars come. And you know when our prayer is at 1. 12:55 comes, that's when the most people come. If you come before that, by even 10 minutes, it's nearly empty. Not empty, but there's very few people as opposed to after 10 minutes what it's going to look like. Why? You have to push yourself a little bit harder and to try to make the most out of that. So that's a small benefit as to what that is. What about in regards to the reward? He says that whoever purifies himself, it says man ightasala. And when it says ightasala, it means like washes himself, bathes himself, showers. Okay? Whoever cleans and leaves to the masjid early and sits close from the imam and they listen attentively Okay? They listen attentively, and they don't speak any lahu, any words that are useless, or play with the dirt, or play with the pebbles. We have carpet. People might want to trace the rug or something like that. What is the reward of such person? More than his sins were wiped in this. This is one of them, but there's more than that. There's one more part to it though. He says, and he walks and does not ride. The hadith you're referring to is another one. He says, and he walks and he does not ride. Allah will make for every step that he takes to the masjid, every step that he did, Allah will give him the reward of an entire year of fasting, an entire year of prayer. That's not available on days Saturday through Thursday. It's only available on Friday. Coming early, dressing nice, smelling good. Especially for the brothers. For the sisters, you don't perfume yourself on that day. If you're going to come out to the masjid, or even when you leave your house, and this is off note, whenever you're leaving your house, sisters, don't be very cautious about applying perfume to yourself when you leave. It's not something that is recommended. It's actually something that is prohibited to do. Is when you perfume yourself and then come to the mosque, or you go out of your home. And you'd be surprised. You may not know this, but men are very, very sensitive. Say, what? Sensitive? No, they're not. They're known for a lot of things, but sensitive is not one of them. When I say sensitive, they're sensitive to be attracted to you. They're sensitive by the clothes you wear. They're sensitive by the smell. They're sensitive by the sound that your shoes make when they're walking. The sounds that the bracelets may have when they're jingling. Am I lying? Is this true, men? You have at least 30 men here that will agree. Wallah, be careful. It's not something that they think that they hear some heels and then they decide, now I'm going to listen and look. It just happens. Instinctively. So be careful with that and know that there's a lot of harm in that. The Jum'ah prayer, and this is a misconception that a lot of people have, is that if you miss 3 Jum'ahs, you're not a Muslim anymore. That's not true. You guys have heard this before? If you miss 3 Jum'ahs before, you're not a Muslim. That is not true. Rather, the hadith states that whoever misses 3 Jum'ahs with no excuse, then Allah will put a seal on his heart. And what is that seal for? That khatm ala al-qulub. What is that? That means whenever you hear advice, it doesn't affect you. Whenever you hear the Quran, you don't care. Whenever you make istighfar, you don't care. Nothing is going to get through to you. So that's for the one who misses those 3 consecutive Jum'ahs with no valid excuse. Is that Allah puts a seal on his heart. It's a very bad thing, but you're not kafir. You're not a non-Muslim for that. Preparing for the Jum'ah, and I'm kind of racing through this because we don't have much time today. We want to give you enough time to take that test. But at the very least, a person should wash on the day of Jum'ah. Okay? And without getting into obligatory or not obligatory. But these are the things that he should do. You should wash on Jum'ah. You should wear the best of your clothes on Jum'ah. And I'll have to stop and then again mention it for the sisters. Wearing the best of your clothes doesn't mean the most revealing. It doesn't mean the most flamboyant or elegant. What it means is something clean and something new. And something that is going to be protecting your awrah, men and women. And we've said this before, we mentioned it yesterday. The amount of tight clothing that men wear as opposed to women, both need to stop. It's too much. With the women and with the men. Whether they pray here and they pray with really, really tight pants, or they pray to where the shirt goes all the way up halfway through their back. And just because you're a teenager, you still don't have an excuse. Wallahi, it's not even from the attributes of a man. That's not what men do. Let alone as opposed to Islamically. Men don't wear those tight clothing like that. And then go into the case about whether or not your prayer is going to be accepted. If you're not covering your awrah, that's another problem. So again, with the sisters, they were commanded, as Salama radiallahu anha, she stated that لا يقبل الله صلاة حائض إلا بخمار, that Allah does not accept the prayer of a woman who has reached the age of puberty except with a khimar, something that drapes down all the way to the bottom. Only her face and hands are revealed. Okay, so it should drape down. It should be loose. Wear good clothes. Don't smell like onions. Don't smell like BO. Don't smell like stinky feet. The list goes on and on. Come your best on Jum'ah. Trim your fingernails. Trim your mustache. Did you hear me say beard? Just the mustache. Just the mustache. And it's a shame, wallahi, it's been known that for the longest time that the religion of Islam, when I say Islam, the religion of the prophets, you have your beard with you. How did it turn that beautifying yourself, when you want to prepare and look nicer for Jum'ah, you remove the beard? You remove the beard? That's what Allah wants to see on you? Or on Eid? Say, I'm not going to shave till the day of Eid so I look real good. By disobeying Allah? Go look at any madhab, go look at any one of the prophets, even the pictures that you see. It's a matter of seeing a sunnah in your religion and applying it. So don't do something haram to try to beautify yourself for Allah. And that goes again with the sisters. I'm going to look good for Jum'ah. And they plug this and say, I'm just cleaning them. What is cleaning? Go wash them with water. How much time do I have, Shaykh? Like 2 minutes? Let me get to at least, okay. When you come to the masjid, what you want to also do is sit close from the imam. You want to listen attentively. You don't want to speak. You want to, even if somebody speaks to you and says, Assalamu alaikum, the most you do is you respond with an ishara, with a gesture. You don't respond back. Okay? As if the imam is giving the khutbah, you don't respond back. You give them a gesture. You don't want to come late and step over people's necks. Or you don't want to come late and sit in between two people that are obviously, came together or are a party. These are all things that are prohibited, and the time doesn't allow us to mention a hadith for everyone. That's the beauty about Islam. There's a hadith for each thing that I'm telling you. About speaking, about gesturing, about splitting up two people, or walking over their necks. A man was doing that during the Prophet ﷺ's time, and he stopped the sermon and he said, sit down. He said, you're bothering the people. Just sit there. So if you have to extend your leg over someone's shoulder to get to the front, that means it's too far. You can slide your leg in between if there's space, if there's an empty space in front and you want to get to it, just don't leap over. Find a route and go quietly and go there, if that's the case. I'll mention just 2 more things, Shaykh, and then we'll be done. Because I want to give them time for... In regards to when the imam is not speaking, in between, when he sits down, the imam is not speaking anymore, right? So at that time, if somebody's making a scene or anything of that sort, you can speak at that time. But then when he gets up to start speaking again, you can't speak anymore. Alright? And lastly, I want to finish with this hadith. And it was the hadith that Brother Abdul Wakil mentioned earlier. And when he says that مَنْ اغْبَرَّتْ قَدَمَهُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ حَرَّمَهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى النَّارِ. And that hadith is found in Sahih Bukhari, in which the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever's feet have become dusted or covered in dust in the path of Allah, Allah has made hellfire prohibited for that area. So don't think that when you're walking to the masjid and you may have to walk over a puddle or you have to walk over some dirt and your feet become covered or something come covered in dirt or anything of that sort, that's okay. Or if you're working for the masjid, that's okay. You do something for the sake of Allah, it's all permissible and it's all good for you, because that, you may be sad that you got your new shirt dirty, but if it's for the sake of Allah, it's acceptable. And remember, there's so much more that we have to give. We didn't even get close to mentioning what does the imam do, what does the khatib do, when do you come in. But hopefully we mentioned some things that will be beneficial to you. And inshallah, we'll move on to the next part of our seminar. So jazakumullah khair wa barakallah. Is there any quick questions in regard to, you can record this part if you want. Yes, brother. If you miss 3 Jum'ah, we said that when a person misses 3 Jum'ah, that Allah puts a seal on that person's heart, meaning that he will not heed advice, he will not be affected by the verses of Allah, he will not turn towards good deeds and good actions, meaning that he will become almost not caring about his religion. Alright? For the Jum'ah prayer, if you come so late that you only catch the 1 rak'ah, if you only catch 1 rak'ah from Jum'ah, you have caught the Jum'ah. Okay? If you come after that rak'ah, then you pray dhuhr, which means 4 rak'ahs. So if there's no more, if you come late and you caught the last rak'ah, you only make up 1 more to pray Jum'ah. But if you come and they're on tashahhud, then you're going to pray dhuhr. Okay? Any questions from the sisters? Let me see if the sisters have any questions first. No? Go ahead. Okay, okay. Yes. Loose, you mean like a sleeve like this?
No, like kind of like what do you call those?
Like it's tight?
Yeah, like a spandex type sleeve. I don't know what you call it.
Uh-huh.
That she removed them to make them do or wipe over them. It's kind of like a body fit sleeve, so to speak.
Okay, well let me say the first part. When you're praying for a woman, your face and you're up to your wrist, that's permissible to be exposed. Okay? That's what you're supposed to have. All you can show is that amount. Wrist and face. If you have a tight shirt or a spandex shirt, you don't make masah on that. Right? Like you would with your socks. Whenever you have over your feet, you would just do masah over them if you wore them upon tahara, wore them upon wudu. You have to roll up your sleeves to make wudu. Okay, if it's a tight spandex type fitted outfit.
It's like under
Under
the
the abaya.
Yeah, under the abaya.
Yeah, you'd still have to roll it up. Like, because she's going to be in a place, like she'll go to the women's section, she'll roll up this, and then she'll roll up the one underneath and make wudu. Okay? Like here I'm wearing a shirt underneath this. It would not be right for me if this was tighter. Like let's say, like the Under Armour type spandex material, to just wipe over this. Because the water didn't go through to that. It may have dampened some area, but it didn't dampen the entire area. What they really need to be worried about is the makeup. That's what they really need to be worried about, because a lot of it is water resistant, and especially since we had so many weddings recently, and I'm pretty sure that people had wore a lot of makeup recently, and when it's time to make wudu, they just splash water on their face, and there's no way that water got underneath that water resistant makeup or foundation. Nail polish is even worse. You're right. Yeah. Okay, I hope that answers the question. Inshallah it did. Yeah, barakallahu feekum. Khalas, tfaddal. Naam. It's not for? No, the one for every salah is that Allah will write down one good deed for every step he takes and remove one bad deed for every step he takes. The one I was referring to, he has to wake up early, he has to go to the masjid early, he has to sit close, listen attentively, he does not speak or bother anybody, and he has to have walked to the mosque. In the first hour? First hour, let's just make it as early as possible. It didn't mean 24 hours, but it just means like early on. Allahu a'lam, as to oppose like what time exactly, but I doubt it would be an hour before the salah. It would probably be several hours, maybe like let's say 9 or something. 8 or 9. Tfaddal akhi. And this will have to be the last one inshallah so we can get through the rest of the seminar. We live today where we're very far away from the masjid. Even though it may be a 5-minute drive, normally it'll be a 5-minute drive today will be like a 45-minute walk sometimes, correct? In regards to this, wallahi, I would say that it would probably be, it would still probably fall into that category, that it would be acceptable. The reason being is because he's just getting into what is walking distance, because where you normally live, probably Jum'ah wouldn't even be obligatory on you, because you live so far away. As opposed to, you know, if he gets close enough with a car to where he's maybe a good 30-minute drive, 30-minute walk out or something, and he walks there, I still think that he will be benefiting from that fadilah, and Allah knows best. All right? Go ahead, tfaddal, Shaykh. Jazakumullah khair, wa barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.